Today in the show, we're going to be talking about two side stories from Runaways. One where Gert is changed forever, and the other where we finally find out what happened to Clara. So before we get into this, because it's been a while since we've gone over everything, let me recap you on Gert's story really quickly. So in the first run of the Runaways, Gert found out that her parents were evil time travelers who had a dinosaur genetically engineered for her that she shares a psychic link to.
To all of the other Runaways, she was known for her sass and her bluntness, but she had so much heart. And her heart eventually caught the attention of Chase, and the two became a couple that no one saw coming. They worked really well together and brought out the best in each other, but unfortunately, Chase kissed Nico. This stirred up issues between Gert and Chase and Nico and Gert, but she would eventually forgive him, but before she could finally tell him that she forgives him, she would be killed by a time-displaced version of Alex's dad. Chase was heartbroken by this and never fully got over her death. He even attempted to sacrifice his own life to bring her back at one point.
Eventually, Chase would use Gert's parents' old time machine to travel back into the past to pick up Gert on her deathbed and bring her forward in time to the present day. And with the help of Nico, they were able to save Gert before she died. But years had passed at this point, so while Chase was now a grown man, Gert was still a teenage girl. The two had to come to realize they can't be together anymore. As Gert put it, "You might have come back for me, but you didn't wait for me." On top of that, everyone else has slightly changed and grown in their personality over the past few years, which has Gert kind of feeling slightly out of place in the team.
Which brings us to today's story. So the story begins on a Saturday morning, and Gert is trying to get Chase's attention. You see, the two of them every Saturday morning used to stay in bed till their stomachs were hurting, and then they'd go out and get food together just with each other. But Chase seems to have forgotten about this, and Gert's trying to get his attention. And when Chase eventually says, "So did you need me for something?" Gert's like, no, I'm just a bit bored. And Chase says, "Well, why didn't you go out and get some air?" And this is also when Gert sees that Chase has a tattoo of her name on his torso. In that moment, she realizes he's forgotten all about some of their traditions. Gert's super upset by this, so she decides to actually go out for a little while. And as she's storming through the hostel, she does run into Nico, Carolina, and Molly. And Nico does say, "Oh, Gert, where are you going?" And Gert's just like, "Out." And Nico sort of says, "Let's go plus-size clothes shopping. I'll show you all the best boutiques." And Gert is just not having this. She is really upset. Also, there's this really cute part where Molly's like, "Hey, can someone help me get Victor down from the ceiling? I tied balloons to him." But Gert's so upset, she even tells Old Lace to stay behind. In response to all of this, Nico is just like, "I would rather swallow knives than be 16 again." And Carolina's like, "This isn't hormones." She's genuinely upset. Carolina explains that overnight for Gert, even though it's been years for the rest of them, Gert lost her time and she lost her boyfriend. Nico sort of realizes the reason Carolina can empathize with all of this is because she recently lost Zavin. So when Nico does say this, Carolina's like, "Yeah, but you lost Alex." And Nico's like, "No, I never had what you and Zavin had or what Gert and Chase had with Alex. Me and Alex, we were just kids." After this, Nico changes the subject and suggests they go out for a little bit. And Carolina's like, "Fine, but first we need to get Victor off of the ceiling." And Nico's like, "No, I need to finish your eyebrows." This is when Doombot comes to visit, and when he sees Victor stuck on the ceiling with a bunch of balloons wrapped around him, he's like, "Stein, why would you do this to Victor?" And Chase is just like, "This was not me." And Victor's just like, "I told Molly I missed flying. She was trying to help." We then go to Chase's tech room where they begin the process of repairing Victor. And Doombot pulls out a vibranium battery for Chase to use. And Victor's like, "If that's vibranium, I don't want it." And Chase is like, "Yeah, but it's for your new body." And Victor is like, "No, get it away from me. I do not want it." Keep in mind, Doombot and Chase do not know the context of why Victor doesn't even have a body anymore. Because remember, Victor essentially lost his body in the Vision book. If you don't know the story behind the Vision book, I will totally cover it. Please let me know in the comments down below, because that is like a fantastic book. But this is when Doombot pulls out this like black mech body and he just picks Victor up and puts him on it. And when Victor is put on the body, Doombot is super proud of himself. He explains that even though the body is less human, it's better than his old one purely because everyone knows he's a robot now, so he doesn't need to look like himself. But Victor's looking down, seeing that he doesn't look like himself or feel like himself, that he's literally in the wrong body, and he has this massive panic attack and demands that Chase take him off right now. The whole time he's having a panic attack, his arms are turning into weapons, it's a whole thing, and by the time he's in Molly's arms again, he breaks down crying. And this is all because he just saw himself in a body that wasn't him. It wasn't his. By the time Victor and Molly leave the room, Doombot's super confused about what just happened there. Because don't forget, Doombot sort of has a little bit of a harder time understanding human emotions. And Doombot and Chase sort of admit the two of them don't know how to recreate Victor's body, but Chase does suggest that Doombot leave this new body behind, so if Victor changes his mind, he can just be stuck on it. And Doombot's like, what do you take me for, Stein? A fool? And then Chase is just like, no, you are Doom. And Doombot's like, I am Doom! Then we go back to LA. Now keep in mind for this scene, Gert's whole thing is that she was unique, that she looked different. And as she's wandering through LA, she quickly realizes having purple hair doesn't make you unique or different anymore. So even in society, she's beginning to feel a little bit out of place. So she takes herself into a drugstore and picks up some hair dye. It is worth noting she picks up the hair dye on Carolina's card. Back with Molly and Victor, the two of them are talking, and Molly really wants to understand what happened there because, again, she's just a kid and she thought Victor looked amazing. In her own words, he had guns coming out of his ears. She asks if Victor had some kind of allergic reaction to the body, and Victor's just like, you know, I just sort of looked down and realized what I could become. And I wasn't okay with that. And Molly's like, you mean you could become a total badass? And Victor's just like, yes, I could become a total badass and I don't want that. And Molly tells him to cheer up because she and Rufus already think he's a total badass. And Victor tells her thank you. And he also tells her to watch her language because she is like 12 or 13 years old and should not be using those words. When Molly and Victor come downstairs, Doombot is there waiting for them and he apologizes for not getting Victor's permission to put him on that body like that and not getting his opinion on the body beforehand. Victor does apologize and says, sorry, I just couldn't make that body work. It's just not me. And Doombot is like, no, your form is yours. You don't have anything to apologize for. It's on me for insisting that you should look like that. As he's about to leave, Molly invites him to stay for dinner, and Doombot's like, I don't eat. And that's when Chase walks in and is like, neither does Carolina, she only eats nuts and paste. Then Nico and Carolina walk in, and Nico's like, she also eats fermented mushroom cheese. So then Nico suggests that they all go out and get a pizza. And that's when they realize they haven't seen Gert in a few hours. Apparently she stormed upstairs after she got back in. And that's when Gert comes down and everyone is astonished by her new look. They all think she looks amazing. Molly runs up to her and is so excited by both the pizza and Gert's new hair. And she says that the two of them look like sisters now and that she wants to get taco pizza because she and Gert are the only ones that like taco pizza. And Gert is just like, sure. Whatever you want, Molly. Now, about a week before all of this happened, our team did go on a bit of a field trip. They managed to track down Klara. Now, if you don't know who Klara is this mutant from the past that the team brought forward in time because she worked in a factory and was in an abusive relationship. She was only 9 years old and she was a child bride that was beaten daily. The problem is, Klara never fully adjusted to their time. Keep in mind, they were a team of runaways, so she never had a chance to settle down and explore the modern day. But keep in mind, our team do not trust adults. They have not had a single good experience with adults. So they were prepared to have to fight to get Klara back. They knew that whoever was fostering Klara had to be the worst of the worst. So they open the door and one of her foster parents is like, who are you people? And all of the runaways are like, we're Klara's friend from before. Can we see her? And then Molly sees her standing in the hallway. And so she runs in and hugs her old friend. She's so excited to see her because, again, Molly loves everyone, but she really loves her friends. When they go to Klara's bedroom, she goes, look, I'm happy to see all of you, but why are you here? And when they're like, we're here to take you back, Klara is like, don't you dare do that to me. She tells everyone that Josh and Paul, her foster parents, are her family now, and they want to adopt her. Gert and Carolina try telling Klara that she's wrong and she can't trust adults. Nico, who has actually had a few good experiences with adults at this point, is just surprised that Klara is down with the gays. And when Nico actually says this out loud, Clara's like, Nico, you were the one that showed me I was wrong. Klara eventually says, look, I know you all mean well, but I never want to live like that again. We never settled down anywhere for long. We were always on the run. We were always scared. I don't want to go back to that. You can come and visit me, but don't take me away. And then Molly tells her they're grown-ups. There's a good chance that they're evil. And Klara says, I don't believe that anymore. So their team leave, and while they are upset Klara won't be coming with them, they do understand Klara's just doing exactly what they did. She's choosing family. The only thing is, she's not choosing their family. And as they drive away, Molly begins to cry. and that's where the story ends. It's no secret that I love this run of the Runaways. Kris, Anka, and Rainbow Rowell, they're like a dream team in my eyes, and I really can't wait to read more every month. Every month once it's done, I'm just like, oh, now I have to wait another month. I think it sort of balances the fact that the Runaways are sort of like on the fringe of the Marvel Universe while being affected by the events of the Marvel Universe, while not wanting to fight, while being forced to fight occasionally, perfectly. And I like that there's not an action scene in every issue. I like that it balances the fact that the Runaways are not a hero team. They're just trying to survive. And something I really like about this book that really stands out to me is each character's sense of fashion is very, very modern. Like, Nico just looks like a Killstar catalog. Literally looks like a Killstar catalog. I liked that Chase was wearing the cropped tank top. Like, yeah, because that's a very modern thing. I mean, heck, even look at Molly. She looks like a kid that's on TikTok. I will be honest, when I found out Gert was getting brown hair, I was a little bit hesitant. And then I read the issue and I was like, actually, this feels like a natural evolution for the character. In terms of fashion, I think there's only one comic that actually rivals this comic, and that's Snot Girl. And Snot Girl is literally a comic about a fashion influencer. So I know I normally cover entire trade paperbacks in 2 videos. This would be the second video in Runaways Best Friends Forever, but I actually have left an issue out of this video because I feel this issue blends better in with the next trade paperback. So you'll be getting a slightly longer Runaways video next time. So next time, we're going to be receiving the return of the Runaways' greatest enemy and most powerful foe, which, considering they've struggled to defeat a grandma and a 13-year-old so far, is kind of worrying. Also, we're going to be finding out more about Nico's power and how the fact that she isn't evil isn't the only thing that separates her from her family. Okay guys, that is it for today. So what did you think of this story? Please let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to check out all my social links, my Facebook, my Twitter, and also don't forget to consider supporting the show by checking out my Patreon. If you support me on my Patreon, you get early access to all of my videos. You just need to donate $1. But for now, my name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.